Well, it's the first Tuesday of a new month, and that means it's Top 10 Tuesday. So this week, or this month rather, I'm doing my top 10 favorite comic book villains of all time. Now, the premise here, like the last one, which was Heroes, the premise here is they have to be specifically comic book villains that originated in the comic books. So not an adaptation of a film or a TV property or some other property. So, not going to screw around, just going to get right into it. So, number 10 for me is Annihilus. I mean, it's created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. I mean, what isn't, right? But his first appearance was in Fantastic Four Annual number 6 in 1968 that came out. He has that badass armored exoskeleton thing. He wields the cosmic control rod. You know, he rules over the negative zone, or he did at one time. And, you know, nobody can forget the campaign that he did in the Annihilation event, you know, not really that long ago. 2000 era for sure. But anyway, yeah, he's been one of my favorites even before that cosmic event. I liked him back when I read about him in the Fantastic Four, and I don't think we've had a depiction on film yet. I'm sure someone can correct me if I'm wrong. If we did, it was a little cameo maybe, or just a glimpse. But man, it's just a great villain. At number 9 for me, I got the Molecule Man. Owen Reese was his name. Another one created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. His first appearance was in Fantastic Four 20 in 1963. Are we seeing a trend here? You know, it's almost like all the great villains of comic books came from those two in the 60s. I mean, there's certainly some exceptions, but, so he was a lab tech worker working in a nuclear power plant, and he had some sort of an accident with a particle generator, I think it said, caused a rip. I don't know, and that's how he got his powers, and it also ripped a hole in the universe, and eventually that allows the Beyonder to come through, which leads into Secret Wars and all that stuff, So, and he's one of those villains that could easily become a hero, and he has acted as a hero, and he's helped situations sometimes. Sometimes he created them and then even go back and help them. So, yeah, just a fascinating character. I like what they've done with him. So at number 8, I've got the Red Skull. This one created by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby and France Herron. Never heard of that one, but that's one of his co-creators. And his first appearance was back in Captain America Comics number 1 in 1941. So, I don't collect comics from that era. Don't know much about them, and the ones I have read, I'm just they don't really do it for me too awful much. But that's technically where his origin came from. I think Red Skull, I'm more used to seeing him by the stuff much later. Like in Kirby's Kirby's 70s run on Cap had the Red Skull in it some. That was awesome. And, the stuff Stan Lee did with him. And then in more modern times, it's been used to great effect. Just a great character. In that Captain America film, we had Red Skull played by actor Hugo Weaving. And, man, I thought that was really good. I mean, he didn't get a lot of time on screen, but visually, it's perfect. I mean, take a look at this picture. Great stuff. At number 7, I've got Kingpin. Wilson Fisk, created by Stan Lee and John Romita Sr. His first appearance was in Amazing Spider-Man 50 in 1967. The TV version was perfectly portrayed by actor Vincent D'Onofrio. Probably pronouncing that wrong, but anyway, man, this guy nailed it so good. He was in, let's see, I guess that was, he was in The Punisher, and he was in the Daredevil, the Netflix Daredevil. And man, he brings that character to life. And it's so perfect. I mean, that for me as a comic fan, that's going to go down as one of the all-time perfect comic book to screen translation. Is that guy playing Kingpin. Just perfect. Yeah, loved it. At number 6, I've got Ultron. And I was a huge fan of Ultron as a villain, long before it was introduced to the MCU. But he was created by Roy Thomas and John Buscema. His first appearance was Avengers 54 back in 1968, year I was born. But yeah, the MCU version, I mean, it was CGI, but the voice was perfectly done by actor James Spader. And man, he nailed that one too. That was another one that perfect screen translation, in my opinion. But Ultron's been a great villain for decades upon decades, and he's just great. I mean, Tony Stark created him, and then he just became this runaway AI, and man, just great stuff. Number 5 for me is Galactus. Another one by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. His first appearance was in Fantastic Four number 48 in 1966. And man, the Devourer of Worlds, just so great. And so much great has come from Galactus too. I mean, the Silver Surfer, Terrax, all of his other heralds have been awesome. I've even got this cool 18-inch put together statue, which I'll show a picture here, right there. And it was one of those that you had to build from pieces from the Marvel Legends action figures. You'd buy, I mean, like I had to buy just a not great Bullseye figure once to get, I think, his arm or something. But anyway, I eventually got it all together, and I just love it. For me, it's perfect. Number 4 on my top 10 favorite comic book villains is Thanos. Created by Jim Starlin, the great Jim Starlin. His first appearance was in Iron Man 55, of all places. Kind of weird, but Jim Starlin had the title at the time, and man, he can't stay away from cosmic events. He can't stay away from cosmic properties. I mean, he makes them everywhere he goes. Just love that guy. But anyway, yeah, it was Iron Man 55 from 1973. This one comes from. In that first Avengers film, he was briefly played by Damien Poitier in a post-credit sequence with real makeup and a pretty great costume, I thought. But then he was replaced by Josh Brolin and a lot of CGI for Guardians of the Galaxy and the films that followed that. And he did a great job, too. And it's pretty good screen translation, I have to say. But Thanos is one of those complex characters. I mean, he fell in love with death, the literal death. Guys, he's insane in a genius way, and he's another one that has acted heroically at times. In his short-lived but great solo series that Jim Starlin did, he was almost as much hero as he was villain, for that. And he's certainly a sympathetic character, and you really, if you read much Thanos, you'll kind of care about him. He's not just a throwaway villain. Just great stuff. At number 3, I got Magneto. Another one created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. His first appearance was X-Men number 1 in 1963. In film, he's been played by both Michael Fassbender and Ian McKellen. And I thought they both did great. The look was nailed, and I think the character was nailed pretty well, too. Another very sympathetic character. I mean, who could forget the Magneto was right thing that came out of Grant Morrison's run of the X-Men when, a lot of the younger mutants at the school were like, well, Magneto was kind of right. And he was, because humanity has been terrible to the mutants, and usually for no good reason. And just a great character, multifaceted, lots of levels to him, and he's been developed over the years, and he's acted as a hero at times too. So it's pretty cool. I got a pretty cool little statue item I'll run here to show you some pictures of Magneto's helmet, and it's pretty great, pretty detailed. I believe it came with one of the box sets, probably the Blu-ray of one of the X-Men movies, and probably a gift from Kristen. She gets me a lot of great stuff for Christmas, so pretty sure that was one that came from her, but I'll show a picture here. At number 2, I've got Norman Osborn, and I'm saying Norman Osborn and not Green Goblin because, I mean, as great as the Green Goblin is as a villain, Norman Osborn, man, I mean, he's a just a terrifying villain just on his own. I mean, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, his first appearance was in Amazing Spider-Man 14 in 1964. I mean, that was the first glimpse of the Green Goblin. And then I think we don't find out he's the Green Goblin or who the Green Goblin is until issue 37 from 1966, and it's revealed that, yep, Green Goblin is Norman Osborn. Willem Dafoe was awesome in the movies as Norman Osborn. I thought he was perfect. But some of my favorite Norman Osborn comics are probably all that stuff he did during Dark Reign, where he took over S.H.I.E.L.D., turned it into Hammer, and just was this terrible character. I mean, given all that power to him, and man, that was just good stuff. Really good stuff. And at number 1 on my top 10 favorite comic book villains of all time is Doctor Doom. Victor Von Doom, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Obviously influenced Darth Vader. I mean, obviously, it's so obvious. But Doctor Doom was first. So his first appearance was in Fantastic Four number 5 in 1962. And man, he is just a great, great villain. And one of the unique things about him, and I know I've talked about this in some of my other reviews where Doctor Doom appears, he's been a great villain for Fantastic Four and Iron Man. And he's not only does he have technology in his armor that's similar to Iron Man, he's also into magic. So he's a sorcerer and a scientist. And man, that combination is so potent and so well done in this character. I just love it. I'm hoping eventually we'll get a really good Fantastic Four film and we'll have an awesome Doctor Doom. Hopefully, man, really hoping. But yeah, that's my number 1. It's Doctor Doom. And man, this list was hard to put together. Much like the heroes list, I had about 40 jotted down on paper and narrowed it down to my 10. And it was tough. A lot of characters were left off that I wanted in there. You know, Kang the Conqueror and Taskmaster and the Purple Man. I mean, just on and on. Lots of good stuff. But that's what I'm saying is my top 10 for now anyway. So the first Tuesday of every month, I'll have a different top 10. Not going to announce that ahead because that's part of the fun, I think, is for me to come up with a different one and maybe surprise you. So, you know, if you like my stuff, give me a like. And if you want to see more, definitely subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.